I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hoops Podcast. GIULIO and Lynch. We are here doing our thing as we do.
Cooking.
Dude, so the new year, man, you know, I don't know about the whole dry January situation. Do you ever do it?
No. Thinking about it or never
No,
have?
I've done it maybe before. And this January, I'm going to be on my honeymoon for like 2/3 of it. Nearly. Like for 2 weeks, basically. I'm going to be gone. I intend to drink on that trip for sure. But I'm looking forward to the pacing of it. Like, I feel that on a vacation, I tend to have less anxiety, and therefore I just like don't eat a lot. And like, I feel like effortlessly I'll be able to just live my best life on it and then come back like feeling great and ready to rip.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that. You know, in theory, I want to do like one of these fasts. One of our partners now actually, that's exactly like what it is. It's like a 5-day fasting program, which I'm going to do. And you guys will have heard more about this during the episodes, either up and coming or leading up into this one. So I'm curious about that. And actually I have a friend who does that all the time. I'm just like curious to hear what he has to say about it. We're going to have him on the show soon to talk about it. Because I'm just kind of curious about it. They say it's good for you, but I don't know. There's also a lot of sort of like the medical professional world seems to like not be as into it, but like there are people who are. So I'm always curious a little bit about that kind of shit. But no, dude, I think I'm just like fine. I have like a lot of shit to do. I need to edit a lot of videos this year, which is going to be hard work, but I think I'm ready. I think I'm up for it. And I think I'm ready to go. My Florida trip was really cool, which I want to talk about a little bit more. But do you have any goals for the year? I know we've talked about our New Year's resolutions in general, but you know, if there's any other stuff you want to add on or that you've thought about.
One thing I'm excited about is having more. One thing that I've always been in my head about when I'm like shooting like my personal videos is that when Victoria is at the apartment, she's always on phone calls and stuff. And a lot of them come up out of the blue for work. And so I always am just like, oh, like this is not a good time to record. And so I record at night. And she just got a new job. And so she's going to be in office 5 days a week.
Wow.
So now I have the apartment to myself all day long.
Wow.
And so that excuse is gone. And I'm excited about the freedom that I have. Because I tend to perform better when I'm like doing any videos or when I'm working on any of those creative stuff when I have the whole place to myself and she's nowhere near it. And I love her, but we talk all day. And it's tough to live and work with your best friend. And I'm excited to have the place to myself, and I'm going to get a green screen. I just invested in this new microphone and some new lighting stuff. I have a camera that my brother's letting me borrow because I lost mine on that North Dakota trip with Francis, and I don't deserve to buy one. So I'm borrowing my brother's. And
I disagree with that, but
you
need to punish yourself.
That was when that happened. That is when I went to a psychiatrist to see if I had ADHD, because that was a bad thing that I did. And I just shouldn't have forgotten my fucking camera.
Dude, but you need to forgive yourself for that. That's okay. It happens. And I'll tell you what, like shoots is when you lose stuff.
Yeah.
There's so much going on. You're like using every part of your brain and like you're going to lose stuff and you're going to fuck things up. You shouldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Let yourself off the hook for that one, dude.
Okay. Thank you. Well, I'm getting a camera, so that's what's more important.
Great.
And so I'm excited. I'm really excited for the new year. I've made so many new friends in comedy that are producing shows, and it's just so much. It's getting fun being in the mix with them, and the shows that I've done with them it's been a blast. And so I'm really excited for the new year. I'm excited to get married.
Fuck yeah.
Resolutions, not much. Just I'm just very excited for this year to be over, and I'm excited for 2025. I cannot wait for the happiness that happens at our wedding, hopefully. Like I'm sure there were moments at your wedding when you took a moment to just like scan the room, and you probably were thinking to yourself like, wow,
Yeah.
damn.
It's pretty great, man.
And just to see everyone talking to each other, I'm super stoked about that. We had our ring blessing in Boston a few weeks ago, and a very small portion of our families were there, but they were all meeting for the first time. My sister came up and she met Vic's family for the first time, and it was, it's a good time where the dining room is just so loud you can't get a word in because everyone's in the middle of a great juicy conversation. And so I'm excited about that. And
Well, before you go on to the next thing, Hillary's dad always said this, and it's very true. It's like as many sort of like events as you can plan between getting engaged and the wedding is always great, because it just makes the wedding more fun, because like people know each other, like people start meeting each other, whether it's like bachelor parties or engagement parties or ring blessings or whatever reason there is to gather. For me, like I had my special taping also one weekend that everybody came into Chicago for. So like it made the wedding way more fun because everybody knew each other.
yeah.
More people knew each other. So like it was cool.
Yeah. And and even if no one knows each other going into the wedding, you do know events, you'll still have a good time, but everyone's so much closer and more comfortable, and there's just a different vibe that's generated. Honestly, just trying to take your wedding night, put a little bit of that into a bottle, and then just
Yeah.
at our wedding. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah, I'm excited for the new year. And I guess just getting off my phone more, which I'm not really going to talk about because I've said that every year, and it's been a problem.
Yeah, I think I actually am in the midst of trying to do that too. It's not easy, but like while I was on my trip, like it was such a fun thing to not, you can't use your phone because like I'm down here trying to like make a story, and like it's not just going to happen. So like every second I'm like, what can I do to make sure that I have enough to work with, right? So like every second I'm thinking, I'm planning, I'm scheduling, we should do this. We need to get the drone. We need to do this. We only have a couple minutes. We need to get to the intro shop, and then we have to go here. Like, so I'm not on my phone at all. I barely took any pictures on my phone, which is amazing, an amazing feeling. And to be honest, like I'm actually not as concerned about building my social media on the social media itself. Like I'd like for my videos to do really well, which will then just translate into more of a following on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say like in theory, that is one of the more valuable ways to do it, especially now with the way that it's all designed, where like you post something and it might go viral. Like it's harder to like start as that person and end as that person, because even if you have a thing that goes super viral for a while, like one of those big accounts, like it's hard to like transition to the next thing. So I'd rather just have like a different thing that makes that happen, as opposed to like posting comedy clips and them ripping, like, which is great. And like, I should still be doing it, but I'm trying to not look at my phone.
Like treating your social media more so as a gallery, showcasing.
Yeah, I guess like maybe just like detaching. No, but like, yes, but like detaching from the schedule a bit, like not being a spammer, like being like some of the accounts that like of people who do really well, like they're not like constantly posting necessarily, unless it's like that kind of account, if that makes sense. It's getting too convoluted, but like I don't want to be the like spam growth person. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I want to have a good, like I guess which is where you started with your point, which is like the gallery showcasing, as opposed to like a million videos and like some of them are good, some of them suck. Like, but I was just like, it's a numbers game. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to all that.
Yeah. But let us know what your New Year's resolutions are.
Yeah.
We love the comments. YouTube channel, check it out. Please watch our videos, high quality versions of the podcast. And we love getting the comments in there. They're very funny. But yeah, let us know what you guys are trying to focus on in 2025. That'd be nice.
Totally. Well, dude, yeah, I went to my 181st National Park unit. I made what I think is going to end up being 2 videos. I shot one in the Everglades, and then I shot one at Dry Tortugas National Park, which was super cool, like, which I want to talk about a bit. So Everglades is like, the park itself is in Miami, not Miami, it's like south of Miami, like the southern part of Florida, but like the Everglades are sort of all over Florida, but like the park itself is right at the bottom. Super cool. There's like a bunch of alligators, bunch of cool shit. And I tried to just shoot like really pretty nature stuff, like really like just shoot sick shots. So it was more of like concerning with like, let's get the best version of this shot every time. So like that on a sort of vlog style trip can slow you down, which is fine. But I felt that we had enough time to pace it out. So we just tried to get as many really pretty shots as we could, as many good thoughts as I could kind of muster up, combining all that. And then we met up with some of these characters. So we met up with this guy, Boo Daddy Diamonds. He's a jeweler. His store's in Hollywood, Florida. He like makes jewelry for all these big celebrities and like flashy shit, dude. Like I was even going in there joking around. I'm like, my girl says that jewelry wears me. I don't wear the jewelry. Like, can we try some shit on? So he threw on the bust down AP on me. I had this giant diamond necklace. I was like walking around the store with my shirt off. It was hilarious. And I met all these guys through Ricky, actually. So that, thank you, Ricky, for like introducing me to this world of people. And I met up with this guy, Stackz. Stackz. Check him out.
Does he have an account?
Yes, he does. He is a funny motherfucker, dude. This guy, he's a content guy, but he just loves nature and he loves the swamp and he's just like big fisherman. He loves chasing around iguanas. He just jumps in the swamp. He actually helps. I went on this thing called Epic Airboat Tours. Shout out to Mike. They like kill pythons because you're supposed to, because they're an invasive species, and Stackz will literally jump in the water on the python and then they'll like shoot them or whatever. But he'll jump in the water with alligators too. And I'll be like, they don't attack you. He goes, they know who the alpha dog is. I'm like, bro, that's amazing. So anyway, we hung out with those guys in the swamp for a day and like had the best time. Like they're such cool dudes. And it's just fun to like hang out with different types of people and do cool shit. So I think that will all be like a really fun video. I hung out with Carlos, who did the pod, as well as Max Manikoff, who's also done the pod. I did a show with them. That was super fun. Went to Rolling Loud, all that stuff. So that'll all be like a really fun video. But Dry Tortugas, this is, like I said, it's like 80 miles west of Key West. So it's hard to get to. So it was like kind of an adventure. So basically we're in Miami. We drive, it's like 3-hour drive to Key West from Miami area. And I imagine that drive is pretty during the day, but we had to do it at night both times just because the way the schedule ended up panning out. So it's like a tough drive at night. It was raining a lot. It was just like kind of a grind. And then we're in Key West, and the Tortugas trip will get canceled if the weather sucks. So like that's a thing to worry about. It's Florida. I'm like, fuck, what if that doesn't work out? The ferry's sold out for 6 months. So we couldn't even book that. So we had to get on this plane. It was expensive, but we're like, fuck it. We got on the afternoon plane, which this is a hack. The afternoon plane's the best one because the ferry departs as you arrive. So there's no one on the island.
Yeah.
Which I vaguely mentioned before. But dude, yeah, it makes such a big difference. And this fort is so cool. So basically it was like a literal fort for the military in some capacity. And in the 1860s or something, they invented some cannon that made the fort kind of obsolete, but they still used it as a prison. And they had the dudes who conspired to kill Abraham Lincoln were all there in jail.
Really?
Yeah, on this island. And it's crazy, dude. It's like this tiny island. There's 8 national park rangers who live there, and they do like marine biology research and just whatever other shit they need to do to keep the park going. But like super hard to get to. Not a lot of people visit it. Our pilot was barefoot and on a seaplane. It was hilarious. Just such a cool adventure. It's one of those things where like you can't just show up and go. It requires a ton of planning. I've had my eyes on it for a long time, and really, really cool to finally get to go.
How long is that flight?
30 minutes.
The ferry ride's probably a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long ferry, and it's rough water too. Like it might not be that pleasant of a ride. I'm happy that we actually took the flight.
Is there like a museum baked in, or is it more like a tour?
So there's like a self-guided tour, but like there's no reason to be doing the self-guided tour. I mean, it's like they give you a piece of paper that you pretty much can read everything on it. And you just kind of like enjoy the beauty of it. It's like this big like Coliseum looking thing almost. Reminded me a little bit of Governor's Island, if you want like a vibe.
I looked at a picture earlier. It looks the border kind of looks
It's
like
like a
that.
hexagon or whatever, like a pentagon. Yeah, which is cool. And yeah, it's just kind of like abandoned. So it's like this not municipal, but it was a government island that no longer is operational the way that Governor's Island is. So, we tried snorkeling a little bit, but the water was kind of like cold and murky. So it was like, this was no point in doing this. So we just kind of like, you can also just walk on the top of the structure, which is cool. There's no like guardrails. It's like very OG, like, so like, be careful. There's a moat. It was just sick, dude. Just hang. And this is funny. There's like a ton of hermit crabs, like big ass hermit crabs.
Oh yeah, Vic saw that video and she showed it to me.
Yeah.
I didn't see it until she showed it, and she thought it was AI. because she thought it was so unreal. She's like, this is AI, right?
No, yeah. Crazy, right? So basically this woman dropped a flaming hot Cheeto on the ground and these two hermit crabs started fighting over it. So they were like, and it was like a stalemate. Like there was no reason to believe that either crab was going to get the Cheeto. This is also hilarious. This little crab comes over while they're fighting and like rips off a little piece of the Cheeto and then ran off with it, which was hilarious.
Good man.
Good man. But Zach was like, dude, I think, should I break the Cheeto in half? I'm like, well, you know, you're not supposed to get involved in the wild. He's like, fine, but that lady should have never dropped the Cheeto. Like these guys should have never had the Cheeto to begin with. So I'm going to break it in half. He breaks it in half. They both run off into the sunset with their half of the Cheeto. Everybody wins.
That's a good time to intervene.
Agreed. That's
an okay time to intervene, because those guys are probably like best buddies, or they were just living their life, and now that like they're completely fixated on this little piece of crack called Cheeto.
Yeah.
And they would have killed each other. They would have killed each other for the Cheeto.
Exactly.
And that was a good move by Zach.
Agreed.
Did they let go when he picked it up, or did he kind of
he just like went in and like squeezed it enough that it broke in half.
That's cute.
Yeah.
That's
but
cute.
dude, there was like a stump where there was like 100 hermit crabs trying to like get in the stump or something. It was so weird. It was so many hermit crabs.
Club stump.
I don't get how hermit crabs work. Like they can't live without the shell, but the shell they have to find. So how does that work? They'll die without the shell.
Do they have to upgrade shells because they get bigger?
Sometimes they switch shells, yeah. And there's some rituals supposedly where they trade shells or something.
They sound very smart.
I don't know. I don't know what their deal is. They're definitely very strong. Like some of them look like super muscular, just walking around. Very, very interesting.
Yes, hermit crabs need new shells as they grow. Hermit crabs typically molt every 12 to 18 months, shredding their exoskeletons like reptiles shed their skin. They need to find a new shell. They're picky about their shells and will spend a long time examining them to make sure they're a good fit. They're looking for a shell that's big enough to fit their entire body, is light enough to carry, and provides good environment for gas exchange. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, dude. Some of the shells too were like on crooked, which is like was the equivalent of like wearing your hat like this. Like it looked like the hermit crab. So I was like, dude, it was like giving me anxiety seeing how like awkwardly the shell was on this one hermit crab. I was like, all right, whatever. This doesn't matter.
These hermit crabs are kind of fun.
These hermit crabs are kind of fun.
Club stump.
Yeah.
Gotta get in. I remember there were hermit crabs down the Jersey Shore. And my grandparents had a house, and I remember my little brother and we put the hermit crabs inside a bucket, and then we transferred them into like a big like gallon water bottle, and we were like, we're gonna bring them home, and we're gonna play with them. And then we forgot about them in the garage and didn't realize until a few years later
that they all just died.
We just like a gallon jug of hermit crabs.
It was filled to the top?
Filled to the top.
Oh my God.
And we just like, someone was like, potato chips, and we forgot about it. I feel a little bad about that.
Yeah, you should.
Years.
Animal cruelty.
That's bad. Especially now finding out that they're so fun and spunky and
apparently
whimsical.
Yeah. Well, maybe they traded shells a bunch before they suffocated to death.
Man, that's not good for the gas exchange.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Maybe they gnawed their way out of the gallon and made it near the ocean or whatever.
They didn't. They didn't. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
So, dude, my 2025, the way I want my 2025 story to go. I want to cut out any people who are sort of having a free ride on the G train. Anybody who's kind of latched on to me, who's not carrying their weight, is not going to be welcome this year. This year, I got to do what I got to do. No time for freeloading, no time for BS. I want to crush it and not have anybody getting in the way. And I've always wondered, I'm like, what is it about my personality that makes people like that gravitate towards me? Or why am I so accepting of those kind of people? And like, I think that this is a thing that I've always kind of tried to talk about in therapy, and I will continue to. And that's why I'm excited about BetterHelp. I'm going to be talking about that with my therapist. And the thing that's so cool about BetterHelp is when you sort of log on and make your account, they ask you a pretty in-depth questionnaire that doesn't take very long, but basically you kind of learn learn what it is that you want to get out of therapy. As you begin that questionnaire, you're going to have an idea of what you want already. Now, in taking the questionnaire, it might just confirm what you thought, but it also might open your eyes to, oh, I actually am interested in this and this and this too. And once you've kind of narrowed that down, you will be given access to a very long list of therapists who all specialize in different things. So if one of those things might be, you know, like goals going into the new year or goal-oriented stuff, and you can kind of check that person out, check out their profile, see what they look like. All this stuff kind of goes a long way instead of having to be sort of in a position where you need to kind of settle for whoever's available at the therapy spot near you.
The therapy spot.
BetterHelp is a much more streamlined, modern way to approach therapy. It's just more efficient, honestly. It helps you find the right person for you, and there's tons of therapists on there. Very easy to make an appointment, very easy to change therapists. All of it is just so easy, and you can do it on any smart device from wherever you want to do it. You can do it in public. You can do it in McDonald's if you want. I don't recommend that. But you can also just do it in the comfort of your home or wherever you are in the dynamic life that you're living. So on Oops Podcast, we highly recommend BetterHelp for all of your therapy needs.
Yeah, so write your story with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/oops today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/oops.
Have you been to Key West before?
No.
It's super weird. Like I don't know what I thought it was going to be like, but it wasn't. It was just like super random. Like there's a bunch of chickens running around, and it's kind of like there's like a lot of old people, and you know it's kind of memorialized in a certain era of pop culture, like Hemingway and Bob Dylan, and people talked about it. But now I don't know that they still have been or something. So it feels almost like that was like a time where it was very pervasive in culture and people were talking about it, and now it feels like the next generation hasn't kept up with that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I get a little bit.
Interesting you say that because I was doing bachelor party research and I saw on ChatGPT was like, check out Key West. And I checked it out and I was like, it's very small, very far away, very expensive. And for what? And it seems like, yeah, our generation hasn't really
made it down there. It was
adopted
expensive,
it.
like what, hotels, Airbnbs, and also the options were very limited. Yeah.
It wasn't that they were bougie, it was that options were limited.
Yeah.
But it looked beautiful, but it's far away. It's really far away.
Yeah.
Really far away. Yeah. Further away than the Bahamas.
Interesting.
Further away than the Bahamas.
So if you were to fly there, because there's an airport.
Yeah, you can fly there, but like in terms of like direct route,
the
Bahamas are closer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that they were able to, because these keys, they're islands. And it's crazy that there is this waterway that you can drive down. The Key West isn't technically the last key, but it's the last key that you can drive to. And if you look at it on the map, dude, it just looks like islands in the water. So
you can drive to Key West?
Yeah. But it's like I said, it's a 3-hour drive from Miami. It's far as fuck.
Yeah.
And I imagine that during the day, it's even more crowded than it was at night. It would probably take a little bit longer.
Yeah. How were, get back to the Everglades real quick. How was the action? Do you get any close-ups of the alligators?
Yeah. We got great shots. So like, last time I went there, I saw a big ass alligator, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy." But you know, it's not a given that you're going to see these things. There's one area, it's called like the shark something entrance, and they always say that you're like, there's a ton of alligators up there. So we're like, all right, we'll go up there, and we saw like a ton of alligators. Now alligators like the sun too, so like you're like during the day, if it's really sunny out, like you're probably going to see them just like chilling on the side of the bank. Mm-hmm. And we got amazing shots of them, dude. Like close up, like. Really, really good shit. Like, of course, it's not as good as like BBC, but like, I was like, I want to shoot the shit out of this video. Like, let's get like the sickest possible landscape and nature shots we can. So we got like a bunch of shots of like birds and alligators and like big ass alligators and close and like very close to them also. Shot the whole thing in 4K too, which is sick. And yeah, man, really great scenery. One thing though, so we drove to the bottom of it, which is like called like Flamingo something. Like if you drive all the way, it's like 30 or 40 miles into the Everglades. You're down at the bottom of the tip of it. And there's like, you can camp and it's like on the water, which is cool.
The Flamingo Campground.
Flamingo Campground. Dude, we got out of the car to walk down this path. It must have been like 4:35, like getting close to sunset. How many mosquitoes there were on this path was actually scary. Like, you know, when you get swarmed with flies, but they're not mosquitoes and you're like, oh, like but like there's a ton of flies. Picture that, but mosquitoes.
And they were trying to latch on?
Dude, like I looked at my shirt. There was like 15 mosquitoes on my shirt. Like trying to like suck through my shirt. I got absolutely obliterated by them. And then like you run back to the car. They're like trying to get in the car. And like I had massive mosquito bites that like raised quickly and were intense, but then like we're fine 2 hours later. It was like one of those.
Good.
It's funny that not all mosquito bites are created equal in that way. Like some like really linger and others don't, like that, which ended up being fine. But that was like kind of scary, dude. Like, so I was like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I feel like if you were getting stung, even if you're getting stung by the mosquitoes, you probably like, ouch, this sucks. But like you also, there has to be a sense of urgency that kicks in because you're like, no, this is probably going to be really bad in a few minutes.
Yes.
Or later tonight. And so you have to get out of there.
Totally.
That's scary.
Yeah, dude. And so as far as the drone goes, like you can't just fly a drone anywhere, as you know. And basically like we had to get creative with that because we wanted to take shots at the park. You're not supposed to drone in the park. So, but the Everglades are vast. It's not just the national park. So in theory, there are parts of the Everglades where you can use the drone that you're allowed to use a drone. That's not technically in the national park, but you get the same scenery as you would in the national park. So like figuring all that out is like hard work. And these drone shots, while they're unbelievable, they're not, you're only going to use a few seconds of them. So like to spend many, many hours getting these shots, like definitely makes a production more complicated when you're just doing it the way that we're doing it. But like I said, I'm very committed to trying to get like the highest level shit this year. So it was definitely worth it and definitely fun. But a really beautiful part of the country. If you've never been, definitely worth going and just driving around, and just these fields that go on forever of like swamp and marsh, and it's sick, dude. It's underappreciated.
Yeah.
So definitely check it out.
I wish I could have seen an alligator when we did the Everglades. We didn't see anything.
When'd you go?
I went in like March
Of this year?
2023.
Oh, okay.
Last year. It was really cool, and it was really fun going through the swamp and seeing that, and it's so long, but we didn't get to see anything. I was bummed out about that.
Yeah, we got one shot where the drone literally flew right over a gator, which was really cool.
Really?
Yeah. We found the gator and then we flew the drone and like got it real low. Yeah, man, really fun to get the drone in the mix. Those things are so clever. An incredible piece of technology.
Yeah. How much do drones typically run on average?
It depends what kind you're getting. They're expensive. If you're getting a solid one, they're expensive though.
500 to like a G?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a bunch of different considerations as far as like different rules and different things. I'm not going to let all of our tricks out of the bag, but there's some trickery that can make your life easier.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is the best way to go about this situation? So we've had package thieves in our apartment. We've talked about it a little bit over the last couple of episodes, and we've been told amongst our little community group chat to put packages away for other people. If you see loose packages, put it in the key locked shelves that only we have access to. So if somebody accidentally sneaks in, they can't take anything. And also to report any suspicious activity or behavior. And so Victoria goes downstairs one day to get a package for herself, and this guy walks in with a hood on, and like you can't see his face, and there's just an energy. She said there's an energy. And this guy, he comes and he looks at Vic, he stops, looks at her, stands for a few seconds, and then goes to the stairwell, and he just stands there. And then he comes back, and he was doing this with his hands, and he was walking out of the apartment. He's kind of like hiding stuff underneath his jacket, if you're just listening, and he walks out. And so Victoria went to the group chat right away and was like, hey guys, I saw a package thief, and I think he took like 4 or 5 packages. That's the right thing to do, is to let everybody know. And then the worst possible thing happened. 10 minutes later, we get a message in the group chat saying, no, that was me. I live here. No, I live here. I didn't steal anything.
Oh my God.
And luckily, he was a good sport about it. And he's like, I'm sorry I scared you. I thought that was a pretty funny oversight. Because it's one of those things.
You got to do it.
It's one of those things, like, if you're right, it's a good thing to say. If you're wrong, you're an asshole. But she had to do it, and everyone had a good laugh over it.
Why was he being so sketch?
I don't know. He's new to the building, and I guess his patterns weren't aligned with what we typically see behavior-wise in the lobby.
Okay, well, here's a tough question. What was this dude's ethnicity?
Dude, so that was the first question I asked Vic.
Was this racial profiling?
And she said, she was like, before she answered, she was like, that's not right. That's not right, Ryan. And I was like, yes, it is. You need to like, I'm just curious
wondering.
if you were racially profiling. Was he black or white or was he not white? And she said he was white. And she said it as in like, see, he was white. I wasn't racially profiling.
Like, thank God.
But it's funny. She's like, that's so bad that you went to that as your first question. And my friend Clint, who's black, we told him about it. And the first thing he said, was he white? And like, it's one of those things
Thank
where
God
you
for
have
Clint.
to ask.
It's because you can't help but, you know, in that situation, it's fine. He lived in the building. Like, it doesn't matter. But it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, like how sketchy was this guy actually? Or were you just being racist?
Were you just being racist? Exactly. I think that's why she was so defensive.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, if he was black and a resident, I think it would have been that would have been more of a thing for her. But it was just a guy.
He just had sketchy guy energy.
He just had sketchy guy energy. But it's funny that you asked that. You're probably thinking about that question for like halfway through me telling you that. But she was like, everyone keeps asking if he was black or white, and it's like you have to ask because we want to know if you're an asshole or not. But luckily, she was she
you're
just
being
was
racist.
she was just sussed out, and it was fun. But yeah, some guy last week, our apartment has a parking lot with like a gate that's only accessible with a fob, and somebody got access. Someone snuck in and they put their car in front of the gate so it couldn't close, and they were loading their car up with every single package in our apartment. And
Wait, the packages are in the parking garage?
packages are in the building, parking garage is in the back. So he was walking out, putting them in a car that somebody else was driving, blocking the gate so no one could come in or out. And our super was yelling at him because he couldn't touch, like you didn't
This guy
want to
was
fight.
stealing, though?
The guy was just straight up stealing packages and barking at our super. So
He was yelling at the supers?
yeah, he was kind of cucking him. He's like, I'm stealing these packages, like fuck you. And my super's like,
Did you
stop.
call the cops?
I think
Did
so.
they catch him?
No, I don't think so.
Jesus.
But yeah, we pay our rent is not. Our rent is not cheap. There should be some sort of protection for the packages that are coming in, because rent keeps going up and security is just getting worse and worse.
Jesus.
So I'm sure everyone deals with this at some degree. I'd be more scared if somebody was like stealing packages from my front door and like walking out to that.
Well, dude, so it's funny because that is almost less likely because it's so much sketchier to be at somebody's door than to be at the door of the building,
yeah,
where there's like a buffer between you and the people in some way.
yeah,
And there's also more loot to be collected. Like there's more packages from more buildings.
yeah,
Like with my building, it would be like trickier to steal packages.
yeah. You have a good system.
I have an interesting setup in
Yeah.
that way.
Our UPS, some UPS people, like they have access to the doors, and so they put everything in there. And then some, I'm not speaking UPS specifically, some delivery people just don't give a fuck, and they just dump everything in there, and it's just like eye candy to anybody walking by window shopping.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and then with the Vic thing, the way our buzzers work to get into the building, you have to tap, and then there's like it's a double door. So you tap, and then a really loud like ding goes off, and it basically is just saying, "Hey, anybody in the surrounding area, come on in." And I've never been able to say, "No, you can't come in," to meet somebody that's walking right behind me.
Mm-hmm.
God forbid they do live in the building, the same way that Victoria reported them to the group chat.
Right.
Because they'll either be like, "Fuck, damn it, like you got me," or "I fucking live here, you fucking prick." Like, what do you mean you're not gonna let me? Like, I can't come into the building. Like, that's profiling,
Right.
white or black, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's security's a little issue in our building.
Yeah, you got to take care of those packages, folks.
Take care of your package
Careful.
and each other's packages. Handle with gentle care.
Dude, I did something so stupid. I brought like an extra pair of shoes to Florida because I was like, all right, I don't want to fuck up my sneakers in case I'm like walking around in the mud or whatever. And I bought two right-footed shoes from different pairs of shoes as my one extra pair. I like quickly was packing. I like threw my shoes in a bag and put them in my luggage. And then when I got there, I opened the bag and it was two right-footed shoes.
Were they sneakers or
Both were sneakers.
they were like the sneakers you needed?
One was, and the other was not.
Are they like the same kind of shoe? Like how
No,
do you do that?
They were both white sneakers, and like I don't know how the fuck I did that, dude. I saw it, and for whatever reason, I just grabbed them, threw them in. Like I was in a rush, Like you got to pack the day before. I just didn't have time. And this is how we ended up there. Hate to see it.
So both shoes unusable.
Correct.
Did you at any point slip the right shoe onto the left foot?
Absolutely not.
And try?
There's just no, dude, there's no way. It's impossible. I did buy a pair of slides from Walmart, which was one of the most complicated. Walmart couldn't be bigger. Like if you're just need some, like one or two things, like going to Walmart seems to not make that much sense to me.
Yeah.
It's a city.
It is. I feel like Walmart. There's no evidence. It's just a feeling. The feeling that I have is that Walmarts in Florida are bigger than most.
Oh,
They're massive.
They're massive. Yeah, I don't know.
Just
Most what?
Just a feeling.
Yeah, no, but I think like most Walmarts are like that. Like I'm sure maybe the ones that are in places with less space maybe are a little smaller, but I think that's like the whole point of Walmart, right? Like, but yeah, you're right. Like in some places I've been, you can like buy a house at Walmart. You can buy a literal house.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, they're big.
And they'll have guns and shit.
What was the shoe that you were wearing on flight?
Like a pair of sneakers that were like Reeboks that I didn't want to get dirty.
Gotcha.
No.
And so you ended up wearing those
The whole time.
the whole time.
But it ended up being fine. Like I ended up not getting them dirty. So like it was fine, but you know.
Nice.
What are you gonna do?
Nice. Is that something, is that mental little blunder something that you're comfortable sharing with Hill Dog?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't want to share blunders because it can just like hurt your reputation, and like you don't want your partner to not trust you in handling things or to like doubt your abilities. So like sometimes if you like take an L, you don't need to share everything, but something like that, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think I told her about it. She's been busy too. Like I haven't talked to her much. But I would tell her that. But I wouldn't tell her if I booked the wrong day flight
Yeah.
by accident.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that's a thing I do when it's not. I have done it, but I'm also booking more flights than the average person. So like it can happen sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess this is one funny final thought. I was thinking about this thing that happened when I was a kid that I haven't been able to stop thinking about because it was so uncomfortable. I was playing around on my friend's computer as a kid, the family computer. I think we were playing like Duke Nukem. Remember Duke Nukem?
Duke Nukem.
Computer game.
And
like,
yeah.
you know, there was like naked video game chicks in it, which is like hilarious. It's like a first person shooter. And I emptied the trash on their computer. And the kid's dad got so mad at me, dude. He's like, why would you empty my trash? I was like, it's the trash. He goes, okay, but like you shouldn't be emptying the trash on other people's computers. I was like, well, like, why was it in the trash? I don't know. Like, I guess you're right, but like, what the fuck? Like, it was it felt like really intense, and I have never been able to stop thinking about it.
Was he watching you guys play? Or
No. I don't even know how he figured it out. I think he was like, maybe he asked if someone emptied the trash, and I was like, I did. Like, I don't actually know. Maybe I mentioned it. Like, I don't remember, but like, it stuck out as a thing.
That's weird. I never let anything live in the trash. I move things to the trash and empty it right away.
Right.
I've always done
It
that.
takes up space in your computer.
It's like, it's still taking up space in the computer. I wonder what he was putting in the trash and wanted to spend a week to ponder upon.
Yeah, maybe he was like hiding shit he didn't want us to see. It was in some,
There's
like,
better ways to
file.
hide stuff than to put in the trash.
Agreed.
That's weird for him to get angry about that.
Agreed.
That's more of he was mad at himself. He felt that was a blunder on his end.
Interesting.
I wonder what you deleted that made him so angry.
Maybe it was the principal. Yeah, dude, I don't know. Fucking weird.
It's rude to delete someone else's trash.
I guess. Well, anyway, check me out on the road. I got Alaska. I got Chicago, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Charlotte, D.C., all coming up, all on my website, notjulio.com for tickets. You can also see the link in my bio on Instagram, and also tell me where your city is located at and if I should come play there if you want me to. So check out the YouTube. Check out my YouTube. Oops Podcast is our YouTube. Not Julio is the YouTube for my travel shit. Not Julio on Instagram, Not Julio G, Snapchat, and TikTok. Lynchy.
Check me out at Ryan is Really Polite. Appreciate all of you. Shows in January. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.